Dwight hadn't won a championship as he bounced from one team to another. But even when Dwight finally won a title with the Lakers, Shaq was back at it, criticizing him for celebrating too much.
So a lot of players on their little Instagram bragging like they were the reason they got the championship. I ain't gonna say no names.
You don't have to.
Sit your down. You didn't do nothing. Stop it.
Even when
All right, welcome back to the channel, everyone. Hope you all are having a good day so far. So I wanted to check out this video from Nonstop. It popped up on my feed the other day, and it's called "How Shaq Became the Biggest Bully in the NBA." And I always think about how petty Shaq is. And before, let me preface this: Shaq, most physically dominant specimen I've ever seen play basketball. Very accomplished basketball player, all that good stuff. I'm not bashing him as a player, but him post NBA, like, oh my God, is he one petty man? So I'm curious about what the angle of this video is going to be, whether it was like him being a bully when he was in the league, or if it's him being a bully when he's in the media, because we all know those funny stories about Shaq, and first thing that comes to mind is how he feels about Steve Nash and his MVPs. But let's see what this is going to be all about. As always, I'm going to link the original video down below in the description. If you want to check out the video without my commentary, go right ahead. The link is there for you. Everybody else, please leave this video a like. Helps out a ton. And let's do it.
Shaquille O'Neal is one of the greatest players in NBA history, a 15-time All-Star and a 4-time champion with 3 Finals MVPs and 2 scoring titles. He's also an extremely successful entrepreneur, known for giving tremendous amounts of money to charity and helping those in need. And on top of that,
he also endorses everything you can imagine, and it's hilarious at this point. Him and Snoop Dogg, man.
Is hilarious and has a larger-than-life personality. He's a certified platinum rapper, a successful DJ, an actor, a TV host, a cop, and everything in between. But if you had to pinpoint his biggest flaw, it's easy to tell what it is. Shaq always had a fragile ego and has never responded well to criticism. And it's hard to find anybody more petty than him.
Why do you have to be petty all the time?
While his most famous
What's funny is that he is a harsh critic on the modern players right now, but anytime he takes any type of criticism, he's so sensitive about it. So it's an interesting combination.
Beef happened during his playing days. His animosity towards Kobe was nothing compared to some of the beefs Shaq had after his retirement.
Sorry.
At one point, during his feud with Javale McGee, the situation got so out of hand that even Shaq's mother had to intervene and tell him to chill out.
My mother pulled me aside last night and said, "Baby, take it easy on the young guys."
But Javale McGee is just one of more than a dozen people that O'Neal has beefed with over the last decade, which brings up the question, how did Shaq become the biggest hater in the NBA? And to answer this question, we got to go back 20 years to the start of the Diesel's beefing career, when he had his first big public feud.
Kareem?
It was 2002, and Shaq was the best player in the NBA in the middle of his three-peat with the Lakers. However, throughout the 2002 season, he was dealing with a toe injury, after which the NBA Hall of Famer turned analyst, the great Bill Walton, said that Shaq should lose some weight and that it would help alleviate the pressure on the toe. Walton's advice made perfect sense.
Real quick, do you guys remember Bill Walton as a commentator? Throw it down, big man, throw it down. He was hilarious.
And he wasn't the only one saying it. But Shaq took offense to Bill's words, saying that Walton talks too much and that he's done more than Walton ever did in a league. Furthermore, when other media members asked him about the toe injury, O'Neal responded that he plans to keep playing through the pain until he becomes like Bill Walton, clearly alluding to his long list of foot injuries. In the next few years, the two great centers traded...
Yeah, this is what he does, though. Once he's got it in his head, he's gonna do it in every media appearance he can for a while until it gets old. He's just gonna mention Bill Walton as the punchline over and over again.
Several barbs back and forth. When Shaq joined the Suns, Walton criticized the move for Phoenix because Shaq was often injured and had missed plenty of games the previous season.
So you're saying, bottom line, this is no win for Shaq?
I don't think he can win in this situation, because what he did in Miami by saying, I can't play at all and now I'm going to win the championship, that is just absolutely ludicrous.
Diesel replied,
yeah, that was a bad move on our part. Who was it? Steve Kerr was our general manager at that time. I'm like 99.9% sure. Yeah, it was Steve Kerr. I don't know what the hell he was thinking when he got Shaq over here, because we were the run and gun Suns led by Steve Nash. So it made zero sense to bring the biggest man in the NBA on a run and gun team. I never understood the logic behind it. I don't know. Steve Kerr has proven to be a pretty brilliant basketball mind, but not in that situation. He blew up our team basically.
That Walton wasn't accomplished enough to talk about him.
His resume isn't quite good enough to speak on what I've done.
Oh, God.
And that he's a hypocrite for commenting on his injuries.
He's a Hall of Famer.
He's a guy who only played 1 or 2 seasons injury-free, and now he's talking about me being injured. So one thing I really hated is a hypocrite.
Walton didn't appreciate his comments, saying that
Shaq's arrogance is an insult to people who think.
the 2 Hall of Famers didn't
Wait. Is that the whole line?
saying that
Shaq's arrogance is an insult to people who think.
That's
the
great.
2 Hall of Famers didn't see eye to eye for the next decade. And in 2021, when Bill Walton was named to the NBA 75th anniversary team, Shaq said that Walton shouldn't be on the team since he only scored 6,000 points
Oh,
in the
come
NBA,
on,
something
Shaq.
that O'Neal accomplished in his first 3 NBA seasons.
You know who I've always had a problem with? Bill Walton. Yeah, because why? He only got 6,000 points in the NBA.
However, after Walton passed away in 2020,
Okay, that's just if he really said he shouldn't have been on the top 75, like that's just too far, dude. Come on now. Don't let your petty stuff don't let your pettiness like go that far.
Shaq made amends and admitted he was too sensitive.
That's like me, I don't like LeBron, but me saying LeBron shouldn't be on the top 75 list. Like, come on now. There's a limit to this.
Bill and I had an up and down relationship. It was up and down because I was sensitive. So a lot of times he would criticize me, and I was so mad one time I wanted to put hands on him. But I saw Bill last year at the Final Four. We hugged. He told me he just wanted to make me better. I'm definitely going to miss him. He was hard on me, and I'm glad he was hard on me.
And despite admitting his mistake, it was one of the rare times O'Neal turned the other cheek because more often than not, instead of peace, he chose violence.
The ironic thing is that Shaq does the exact same thing as Bill Walton. The exact same thing. He's really tough on the young big men. And then when the young big men get mad and retaliate, like Shaq did to Bill Walton, then he feels a certain way about it and calls him soft. But Shaq did the exact same thing when the previous greats were being hard on him. Ironic, isn't it?
O'Neal wasn't on speaking terms with Wilt Chamberlain while he was still alive. He didn't have a great relationship with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar,
No.
but those were all minor disagreements compared to his long-lasting beef with Dwight Howard.
That's a good point, though. He really did have beef with all the previous great big men. You got Kareem, you got Wilt. I don't know about Bill Russell, if they had any beef, but that's interesting. That's very interesting to think about. So all the previous greats, instead of like taking them under his wing, under their wing, because they probably were trying to do so, Shaq resisted.
Started in 2008 when Howard dressed as Superman during the dunk contest,
Yeah.
accompanied by the Superman soundtrack, voiced by none other than Kenny Smith.
Superman.
You win, young fella! You win! Superman!
Shaq, who had already adopted the Superman moniker when he was the star of the Orlando Magic, perceived this as an act of identity theft. And from that moment on, O'Neal took every chance he got to bash Howard and undermine his
I
accomplishments.
don't get it, too. He should be mad at Kenny. But even then, he shouldn't be mad at Kenny because before Shaq went by, had the Superman thing, which he had a tattoo. He had a Superman tattoo on his arm. That's about it. He never dressed up in a cape or anything like that. Hey, man, in the 80s, they used to call Jordan Superman. They also used to call him, like, Captain Marvel or something. I don't remember what the hell it was. But he had a couple of nicknames as well as Air Jordan. But they called him Superman a lot. They called him Superman more than I recall Shaq being called Superman. So to just hate on Dwight Howard for dressing up as Superman, I don't really get it. I don't know what this pettiness is. Kenny Smith is the one who said Superman is in a building. I don't know, man. But Shaq still holds on to this. All these years later, he's still mad about this. Talk about petty.
I'm just saying, if all you got to do is win a dunk contest to be called Superman, Don't call me that no more. That's all I'm saying. Okay.
His criticism of Howard was mostly based on the fact that Dwight hadn't won a championship as he bounced from one team to another. But even when Dwight finally won a title with the Lakers, Shaq was back at it, criticizing him for celebrating too much.
So a lot of players on their little Instagram bragging like they were the reason they got the championship. I ain't gonna say no names.
You don't have to.
Sit your ass down. You didn't do nothing. Stop it.
But even when Howard...
That's too far. Shaq always takes it too far, man. That's the theme of this video. That's just too far, man. Dwight Howard did his job for that team. They won a damn championship. I'm not happy they won a championship, but I'm not going to sit here and pretend like Dwight Howard wasn't a part of that. He did his part. They won. He's a champion. That's like saying, I don't know, John Paxton isn't a champion. He's a champion. BJ Armstrong, you're a champion. You know, Horace Grant, y'all are champions. Even Bill Cartwright and Luke Longley, y'all are champions, man. You know, you did it. You did it. You're part of the team. You get that ring. You can talk a little trash and have a little fun and enjoy yourself. You accomplished it.
Retired from the NBA, Shaq was still mentioned in various podcasts as recently as 2024.
So would you say that beef is like Shaq and Dwight beef?
There you go. That got to be like a one-sided beef because I ain't never had no beef with this man.
Showing that this beef will not be ending anytime soon. But
it is. This situation is more like a bully situation because Shaq keeps throwing punches at Dwight, and Dwight's like, just cut it out, man. You know, and I got my own beef with Dwight Howard, but not when it comes to this. Like, Dwight Howard's never really done anything to Shaq except for just exist, and Shaq just hates him for it.
Can't understand why Shaq doesn't see eye to eye with Dwight. No one can deny that how he treated JaVale McGee was borderline insane. It all started as fun and games during O'Neal's Shaq'd in a Fool segment on Inside the NBA, which often featured McGee and his mishaps on the court. But after a while, McGee got tired of the jokes, and Shaq always bashing him in his game. So he decided to respond on Twitter. And if we know anything about Shaq...
Get my nuts out of your mouth.
It's that he doesn't like it when people clap back at him. So he was quick to throw insults and even threaten JaVale.
Wait. Too fast.
When people clap back at him. So he was quick to throw insults and even threaten.
Now, since you want a good team, you want to act like a good player now? Stop it. You'll only be remembered for Shaq and a fool, bum ass. Jeez.
JaVale.
Don't be acting like you a G. I'll smack the shit out of you, bum. I'll smack the shit out of your bum ass. You the one that be looking stupid with your dumb ass, bum ass. Good Lord, man. Oh, boy.
Became the center of the sports world in the next few days, with Steve Kerr and Kevin Durant publicly defending their teammate.
I ain't no cops couldn't threaten civilians like that.
While the Warriors organization filed a protest to Turner Sports against...
That's a good line.
JaVale's mother, a Basketball Hall of Fame inductee, Pamela McGee, even requested that TNT fire Shaq for his bullying.
Wow.
But Shaq wasn't letting it go. He responded to KD and called McGee.
Okay. So now to KD, I understand you sticking up for your teammate. That's cool. But your boy, JaVale McGee, is still a bum. He started it. I'm going to finish it. Did he start it, though? I think Shaq started it with Shaq and a Fool. Am I wrong here? It seems like the evidence is pretty easily, clearly laid out.
McGee a bum once again. And it wasn't until his own mother intervened that O'Neal dropped his guard and decided to bury the hatchet.
Actually, you know what? My mother pulled me aside last night and said, baby, take it easy on the young guy. So you're going to see a new approach to me talking about these bums.
However, just 2 years later, Shaq started another feud with an NBA center. And this time, the victim was Rudy Gobert. In 2019, Shaq mocked Gobert's tears during an interview when he was crying about getting snubbed from the All-Star game.
Sorry.
There's no crying in basketball. Maybe he was sad he didn't make it, but it happens like that sometimes. Not something you cry about. There is no crying in basketball. Man up.
I love
Get some icy hot on your face.
I kind of agree with that. By the way, wasn't Rudy Gobert the same dude that when COVID first broke out and they didn't suspend the league yet? Wasn't he the one who like coughed on a microphone and like rubbed it all over? And then by the next day, like there were multiple people on the team that were down with COVID, and then it like spread through the NBA like a wildfire, and then had to shut it all down. Wasn't Rudy Gobert, the one who started that at a press conference after a game? Correct me if I'm wrong. I have a pretty vivid memory of this. I'm just not 100% sure that was Rudy.
Next time Shaq had something to say about Gobert, it was about money. I'm not going to hate, but this should be an inspiration to all the little kids out there. You average 11 points in the NBA, you can get $200 million.
Right.
A few weeks later, during an episode of Inside the NBA, when Kenny Smith said Gobert was one of the best big men in the league, Shaq showed his distaste for the French center by nearly walking off the set.
You can possibly
This guy is one of the best.
Awesome. No, he ain't one of. Stop it.
He's one of the best. Hey, the guy's a
Hey, stop it. No, he's not.
Barkley was quick to throw a jab at O'Neal, his favorite target, saying that
If you played against Rudy Gobert, he'd be blocking his shot. Her little kids in the front row, he'd be blocking that little slappy hooky shot.
after which Shaq posted a Photoshop picture of himself dunking on Rudy. But that was just the beginning. A few weeks later, during an interview with Rex Chapman, O'Neal admitted he was jealous that Gobert was making this kind of money, which was impossible for him to get during his era.
Come on, man. Shaq was the first guy who pulled in a $100 million contract. You can't be jealous about money. Oh, us sitting at home watching his video right now, some of us could be like, man, those guys are overpaid. But come on now, Shaq got compensated when he was in the league, or like somebody like a Larry Bird or a Dr. J or somebody from that era. They can definitely look at these numbers right now and be like, dude, this is crazy, that a guy like that is making 200. But, they were playing for like 500K back then. But Shaq, come on now, man. Shaq was one of the highest paid players. I mean, during his time, he was the highest paid player, and he deserved to be so. But it's not like he didn't make a lot of money.
Center in the NBA.
I'm jealous, but I'm happy. I'm jealous because I always thought that you had to have Michael Jordan superb type numbers to get that type of money. That's what it was in my era. But I'm happy for the kids.
It's not. No, Jordan never got that kind of money. He never even got close to that kind of money. It's NBA inflation.
The reason why I bring up Rudy Gobert, people think I'm hating. It's not. He's a good big man. I'm used to dealing with great big men.
And with this comment, the beef was dormant for almost a year until Shaq opened the door again, saying it would take him 3 minutes to score 12 points on Rudy.
I think Rudy Gobert can hold you to like 12 points.
12 points, yeah, in the first 3 minutes.
And finally, after 3 years, Gobert finally had enough, responding that he would lock up O'Neal if he played against him. But going on multiple podcasts can be a dangerous thing. And when Shaq did an interview for Complex, he called Gobert the worst player of all time.
Oh, worst NBA player.
Oh, Rudy Gobert.
Rudy wasn't thrilled with that, so he responded. It's sad to see someone that has accomplished so much as you did, both in sport and business, still be triggered by another man's finances and accomplishments. I get the entertainment part, but unlike other folks, you don't need that stuff to stay relevant. And then Shaq made a guest appearance.
Yeah,
But unlike other folks, you don't need that stuff to stay relevant.
I don't really like Rudy Gobert, I gotta be honest, but I think he's totally legit here with his clapbacks. Like, he's not doing anything. He's just chilling. And Shaq is just throwing, again, it's just like Dwight Howard. Shaq always does this. Shaq's just standing on top of the mountain and bashing this man. And like, there's a limit to this stuff, man. You could say you don't like him, you don't like the way he plays, but you don't have to constantly bash him. That's literal bullying. It's too far. So yeah, good for Rudy for like just sticking up for himself. And I mean, he's being totally legit. Shaq doesn't need to go this far. Like, it's kind of embarrassing that he's doing this.
And then Shaq made a guest appearance on Udonis Haslem and Mike Miller's OG podcast, where he doubled down on his Gobert hate.
When I speak, I try to speak from facts. It may come out wrong, and you may think I'm hating. And his comments, you're trying to stay relevant. I got 15 commercials. Keep talking about it. You're the defensive player of the year, but every scouting report I'm looking at, they targeting you.
It's safe to say that won't be the end of this beef, especially if Gobert falls short in the playoffs once again.
Does Shaq actually get his hands on scouting reports, though? Was that an honest statement that he made there?
While Shaq's specialty seems to be talking down on NBA big men, O'Neal didn't limit his feuds only to centers. Over the years, he's been critical of Donovan Mitchell, Kevin Durant, and Steve Nash, whom he didn't criticize directly, but he repeatedly complained that he shouldn't have won 2 MVPs over him in 2005
This is what I came here for. Let's do it.
and 2006.
Was he true MVP or was he a sympathy MVP?
No, he was a true MVP.
I agree.
Over me? Twice? Oh, get out of here.
And then came another type of beef, this time in a more traditional sense.
By 2005, 2006, we all know Shaq was past his prime. His prime ended around 2002, I would say. He's still dominant, 03, still all right, 04. By 05, he was just like a shell of his previous self. Once again, I'm not dissing him. I'm just telling it as it is. He dominated from 92 to, he dominated for over 10 years straight. And then after that, it was the decline. So how he was expecting to beat Steve Nash while he's on his decline, and Nash hit his peak for those 2 years. He was prime Nash. So I don't understand the logic here. All the while we have Kobe Bryant breaking records offensively in LA, and he didn't get the MVP either, but he never cried about it like Shaq is.
A rap beef. O'Neal was long considered one of the best rappers among NBA players, with one of his albums reaching platinum status and another one certified gold. But then came Damian Lillard with 4 albums of his own, and many people started saying that he was now the best NBA rapper ever, which didn't sit too well with the overly sensitive Shaq. In 2019, when he was
that KG?
Which didn't sit too well with
What is this? I never saw this.
The overly sensitive Shaq. In 2019, when he was promoting his album Big Dollar, Lillard was asked to compare his rap skills to O'Neal's.
I think I rap better than Shaq. I've heard Shaq stuff. I think he was viewed as Shaq though.
But do you think, I get what you're saying.
Like this Shaq. It wasn't like Shaq and Biggie. People wasn't looking at it like this is a real rapper. It was like that Shaq rapping. So of course it was a big
That's
deal.
kind of true.
Naturally,
That's
his
true.
comments weren't appreciated by the big fella, who released a Lillard diss song on Instagram, taking multiple jabs at the point guard. Take your time to respond. There's no hurry. You'll never be Westbrook, never be Curry. Or what's in your wallet? American Express or Visa? Talking like you're Bron. You ain't even Trevor Ariza. But Lillard took very little time to respond with a diss track of his own. Kobe won you those rings, though. Nursery rhyme spittin', small car sittin', icy hot poster boy, TNT snitching. And while the world expected Shaq to continue the beef and record another diss track, O'Neal stayed silent, never responding back, and later claiming that there was never a real beef between them. No, it's not beef. It's a competition. Listen, I like Dame. He's a great player. But competition-wise, anything I do, you can't say you're better than me. We're cool. I don't have beef. I've had this useless title of Best Athlete Rapper since 1992, but I'm going to keep it. It doesn't go beyond that. It's all marketing. It's good for him. It's good for me. But when people think it's personal, I've got way too much to be doing to try to be a rapper. However, while this feud went mild in the end, in 2024, Shaq had another one that was much more spicy. And this time, it wasn't with an NBA player. After Nikola Jokic won his 3rd MVP award during a live interview, Shaq immediately told Jokic
this one
that
pissed me off. I forgot about this. This is...
Shai Gilgeous-Alexander should have been the winner.
I thought the SGA should have been the MVP. That's no disrespect to you.
And in typical
How is
Jokic
that
manner,
no disrespect to you? You don't just say stuff like that and be like, no disrespect, but yeah, you didn't deserve what you just received. No disrespect though. You know? That's like prefacing something with all due respect, you're an asshole. Like, no, that's not a respectful thing to say, you know?
the Serbian big man laughed it off, responding that it's his opinion and that he didn't care.
Thank you, Shaq. We don't judge people here, so that's fine. Your opinion.
However,
I love it. He took the high road.
Sharpe did care, and he called O'Neal disrespectful towards Jokic during his podcast, also noting that Shaq was probably jealous of Jokic because he won more MVPs than him.
He sees a guy like Nikola Jokic that's not as dominant as him and gets 3 and 4 years. And I think a part of him is envious of that. But he doesn't have anybody to blame
100%.
but himself.
And then Shaq exploded, writing a long post on Instagram, throwing shots at Shannon. once again saying that he isn't qualified to talk about his accomplishments since Sharpe wasn't a top 10 player in the NFL. Sharpe tried to cool things off, saying that he was never as good as O'Neal.
I've never professed that I was as great as Shaq.
But he did throw shade at his work ethic, claiming that Shaq didn't use his talent to the fullest.
He didn't work as hard, he didn't train as hard, he didn't eat as well as he should have.
Right.
And Shaq, being Shaq, couldn't let this one die
Shaq
off.
admitted all this. I'm not a big Shannon Sharpe fan, but yeah, it's true.
And had to have the last word, so he responded with another diss track. Lately, it seems like Shaq is getting in feuds and online beefs every couple of months, which seems kind of strange for a 52-year-old man. But for better or worse, O'Neal has always been a big kid.
He has.
Always
I was going to say, it's not like he ever had a persona of being a mature dude. That's kind of what we loved about Shaq. He was a big old goofball.
The same way when someone said even mildly bad things about him. When Kobe appeared on Patrick Bet-David's podcast, he said that Shaq would be the GOAT if he had his work ethic and that they would have won 12 rings.
I agree with that statement 100%. Shaq with Kobe's work ethic, forget about it. That's the GOAT right there.
Who would Shaq be if he had your work ethic? He'd be the greatest of all time. I wish he was in the gym. I would have had 12 rings.
Shaq immediately got offended and started putting up Instagram pictures of his dunks, saying sarcastically that he was really lazy. And it's the same when
That's the thing, though. He was that good without really practicing and training hard and eating wrong, being overweight, being out of shape. He was still that good. That's the point Kobe's trying to make. So imagine if he was training all the time, he was in good shape, he was eating healthy. Holy crap, Shaq would have destroyed the league. He would have had endless energy like Will Chamberlain did. And then combine that with the dominance, the physical dominance of Shaq, game over. Game over.
Confronts him on Inside the NBA, as Shaq almost instantly starts talking about his 4 wins.
Because I got 3 finals MVP, Chuck. Because you Google me, Chuck. Everybody Google me, Chuck. You see that? Google me.
So it's safe to say that Shaq's not going to change, and he'll always meet violence with violence.
Shaq can be petty at times, dude. Yeah.
Kill it. I would not kill it.
However, even though Shaq truly might be the king of pettiness, it's hard not to love the guy. Despite his flaws, Shaq has a great personality and a big heart. And the stories of him helping other people and making people happy far outweigh some of the nastiness that comes with his feuds. Thanks for watching. And if you like this video, we have another one for you right here.
Oh, boy. Yeah, no, it's funny. That last statement that was made here was really true. That despite all this, I still do like Shaq. I just I don't want to really like talk to the guy, because like he might find something about me he don't like, and then I'm his next target. But for some reason, man, I still like the dude. It's just that I have to get over the fact that he's one of the most petty dudes I've ever seen. He's just super insecure, and I think a lot of that is because I think he knows now, looking back, he could have accomplished even more. He accomplished a ton. Don't get me wrong. He accomplished a ton. But I think he knows he could have accomplished more if he took it more serious. Because he didn't really take basketball too serious until Phil Jackson made him for 1 year. And that first year that Phil Jackson, I don't want to say made him, challenged him to do it. And got in his head by saying, hey, Will Chamberlain did this. Do you think you can do this? And he's like, yeah, I could do that. And he challenged him to lay off the movies, the rapping, all that stuff, and just focus on basketball for a season. Guess what? They won a championship. Then they won another championship, and then another championship. If he could have stayed focused like that his whole career, freaking Lord knows how much he could have gotten accomplished. Anyways, you guys, I thought this was a funny one. There was a couple of beefs in there I forgot about, so that was cool. Like the Damian Lillard one, that was pretty funny. Good snapbacks by Dame too. All right, guys, I'm gonna head out. Let me know what you guys thought about this one. I'll see you in the comments. Please leave this video a like. Subscribe to the channel if you want more content like this. And I'll see you later for the After Dark. Peace out, everybody, and thanks for watching.